Class 9, so far we have been doing Merchant of Venice and we have finished scene 2 of Act 1 and one scene is left to complete Act 1. But before completing it, let us now move to the short story, that is Treasure Trove. Okay, the collection of short stories, and today we will do lesson 1 of that is Treasure Trove from short stories. Clear? And we will start lesson number 1, that is Chief Seattle's speech. This is one of the most difficult chapters of your book, you know. And I tell you, the first time when I taught it, I didn't find this lesson, this story so interesting. Okay, as this is very difficult to understand also. But when I read it number of times, okay, then I realized, then I could understand. At the time, I understood that I understood the feeling of Chief Seattle, how he must be feeling. That is really quite sad. I'll tell you later, okay, who is Chief Seattle and what's the lesson about. But before this, in order to make the lesson easy, okay, in order to make my explanation easier, I just want to ask you one thing. Suppose someone comes and wants to take your house, okay, in exchange, like the promoters of today's, you know, okay, promoter of today, what they do, they come and offer you a big sum, handsome money, okay, good sum of money in exchange of your house, and they offer you to live in some other area or in the flat of the building which belongs to them. Clear? They want to take your house, okay, from you and offer you to live in the flat of their building. Clear? But the land, okay, and you also do the same thing, okay, in order to live a lavish life, you also do the same thing. Forcibly, you can say, or willingly, intentionally, okay, with good intention, you can say that you get ready to buy that flat or house and leave your own, the thing which belong to you, okay. And now that land, piece of land, or you can say your own house, okay, does not belong to you anymore. Clear? You are like other sharing that property. Now, you are not sole owner of that property. This is what something happens here also. What happened here? That the Red Indians, try to understand, the Red Indians, they are the Native Americans. They are the Native Americans and the land belonged to them. Okay, and Christopher Columbus, he found this place, okay, and he thought that these are the Indians because he was in quest of India, okay. He called them Red Indians. Christopher Columbus called them Red Indians, and they are the Native Americans, okay. And the white people, okay, and the white people, Americans, they are the Britishers, okay. They tried to put up the colonies. Everywhere, and India also, you know, India was also in their cruel clutches, you can say, okay. So Chief Seattle was sent the same type of proposal by the governor, okay, and the governor wanted to buy the piece of land from these Red Indians, or you can say the Native American. So here in this chapter, in this lesson, you will find it is, though it is not a story time, okay, this is just a speech which is given by whom? Chief Seattle. Okay, now we will just try to let us find out what is in the speech. Today I'll give you a short view of what is given in the speech. Okay, though all the words and sentences will not be read by me, but you'll have to go through word to word. I'm giving you a short summary. Okay, but the summary should be in such a detail that you will understand each and everything. Clear about the Chief Seattle, about Chief Seattle also. First of all, you should know who is Chief Seattle. Okay, Chief Seattle, he is known for the speech. Okay, he made in the year 1854 in response to the governor's proposal. As I have said, that proposal was sent to Chief Seattle. Okay, of buying a native's land. He favors the respect of land rights of his people. At the very early stage of his life, he became famous both as a warrior and as a leader. He was a prominent leader, okay, a very good leader. He also became a renowned orator. Orator, you know, one who speaks very well, okay, oratory, a good oratory. Okay, he has all the talent to speak good. Okay, to deliver the things which one wants to say to the people, what he wants to make the people understand. Okay, so his influence was marvelous. Okay, so and Chief Seattle was philosophical in his approach. According to him, the earth did not belong to men, but men belong to earth. Clear? So now let us start what is given in his speech. Chief Seattle delivered the speech to mark the transfer of ancestral Red Indians' land to the federal government. He was not willing to give the piece of land to the governor. Okay, he says that the great chief in Washington sends greeting of friendship and goodwill and wishes to buy their land. But he appreciated the greetings and the wishes which were sent by the chief in Washington. Okay, he appreciated that greetings and greetings of friendship. Okay, which governor has sent, which the chief in Washington has sent in respect in exchange of the land. This is kind on his part, as he has little need of the friendship in return, because his people are strong and more powerful than the native Red Indians, white people, native Red Indian and the American, white American. This is the speech is between this story is between them. Okay, but the white American, they were quite stronger. Okay, they were stronger than, or you can say in comparison to Red Indian. Chief Seattle recalls the time when his people were larger. Now he is recalling his olden times when his people were larger in number, but now they are reduced to a very small, you can say, memory, in very small quantity. Okay, but he will not mourn over the untimely decay. The young men are too great, but the young man of Red Indian, they were quite aggressive. Okay, aggressive and want to take the revenge even at the cost of their own lives. But the old men are wise and do not want to continue their hostilities. Hostilities means the differences. Okay, hostilities, attitude towards them, means the young people, the young Red Indians, they were quite aggressive. Okay, and they want to take the revenge from the white Americans as for what they did to their ancestors. But the old people, they are quite wise. Okay, and they stopped them. They would stop them. Okay, and it was time when the white men pushed their forefathers westward. He wishes that George Washington, who he calls their good father, George Washington, whom Chief Seattle calls good father of the white American, will protect them, and his brave warriors will protect them from their ancient enemies. Then he encounters a fear. Then he gets scared. Okay, that the God of white people is not their God. Is God of white people is not the God of Native American, red Indian. Okay, he only loves his people. He makes the pale face stronger and has forsaken his red children. Clear? He cannot love his red children, so how can they be brothers? They seem to be orphans. Orphan means without having their parents. Okay. Thus he says that they are two distinct races with separate origins and separate destinies. He says that Native American and White American, they are two distinct races. They do not belong to each other. They do not love each other, and they have separate destinies, and there is very little in common between them, and that is the death. What is common in between them? That is death. One has to die when one passes through all the stages of life, and one thing is common, that everybody will have to die one day. He further remarks that the ashes of the ancestors are sacred, pure, holy, okay, pious, and their resting place is the land, whereas the white wander away from the graves of their ancestors. Means that the ashes of the ancestors for the Native Americans are pure, sacred, okay, and but for the white people, they move away from them. The white men's religion was written upon the stone tablets by the iron finger of their god, but the red Indians' religion is the tradition of their ancestors. Means, white people, when their religion is their tradition, not their tradition, but the inscriptions which is written on the tomb of their and it is written by the god. Okay, but for the Native Americans, red Indian, their religion is the tradition which they got from their ancestors. Okay, then he says that dead men cease to love them, the white, but ancestors can never forget the beautiful world. They keep on loving its verdant valleys and murmuring rivers and magnificent mountains, valleys, lakes, and water. Okay, he remarks that red men has ever fled to the approach of white men as this morning mist disappears before the morning sun. Grim fate seems to follow them, and soon his race will disappear. But then Seattle says that they will consider the matter, and before accepting President's proposition, he had put forth the condition that they will not be denied to visit the tomb of their ancestor, friends, and children. Means, what was the condition? See, I have told you that the white American, they want to buy the land from the red Indians. Clear? And a proposal was sent to Chief Seattle. Chief Seattle agreed to that proposal, but on one condition, that the people or the red children will be allowed to visit the tomb of their ancestors at any time. Okay, so he concludes that speech by saying that when the last red man shall vanish or has vanished from this earth, his memory will become myth, and shores and forests will hold the fruits of his tribe. Okay, the white man will never be alone. He urges the white men to love and care the land as they did with all their strength, mind, and heart. Love and preserve it as God loves and preserves us. He believed that the dead of community were the part of his world, and said there is no death but only a change of worlds. Clear? So, in easy word, means in simple language, you can say the two races were quite different in their skin, color, culture, traditions, religion, and beliefs. Okay, the white settlers were called, the white settlers means the white American, they were called white man, pale face, whereas the Native Americans were known as red men or red children. You will find these words in your lesson. Okay, that's why Seattle said that they were two distinct races with separate origins and separate destinies. Clear? There was little in common between them. Chief Seattle further remarked that the culture and tradition of whites were entirely different from those of the red men. Okay, they were materialistic, okay, who? The white people, and wanted to buy the native land of red men. The religion of them was mere set of rules. They did not have sentiments for their motherland. Once they were dead, they stopped loving their fellow men. They wandered away beyond the stars. They were soon forgotten and would never return. But for the red children, their religion is the tradition of the ancestors. Okay. Then what he said in speech, or other things which he said in speech, that is, Chief Seattle said that Americans were large in numbers. Okay, he compared them to the grass that covered the vast prairies. Okay, and the grassland of America. Means white Americans are just like the grass that covered the land of America, whereas red Indians are few. They resemble the scattering of trees of storm-swept plain. Using this metaphor, the comparison, Chief Seattle was successfully able to describe the less number of his people as compared to the white. Chief Seattle was talking about the offer made by George Washington to buy their native land. He said that American chief wished to buy their land but was willing to allow them live comfortably. As he was, that's why he said him a very kind-hearted man. Okay, it appeared generous to him, as the red Indian no longer had the right to be respected, and the offer might be wise, as they were no longer in need of extensive country. The very impressive words, said by Chief Seattle. That is, Chief Seattle, he was a philosophical man who believed that death was inevitable truth, which has certainly to come. Okay, and one should not regret. Okay, and in fact it is only the change of world. Okay, tribe follows tribe, tribes follow tribes, and nation follows nation. He talked about his dead and the land, which they still visited the land and would forever, so the whites should treat them kindly, as the dead were not powerless according to him. He stated that there was no death, only men changed this world. Clear? So children, I want that you should go through the dialogues or each and every word of the speech. Though this lesson is not so interesting or not quite easy to understand, but still you should have a look, okay, into it, and please concentrate on each and every word. Clear?